She texted during my surgery. "If you die, how fast can I get the life insurance?" I didn't reply. When I recovered, I changed the beneficiary to the nurse who had been holding my hand. We're dating now. My ex found out when she called the insurance company. They flagged her for suspicious interest in my death. Hey, Reddit. I'm a 32-year-old male, and I never thought I'd be the kind of guy posting his relationship disaster online. But here we are. Grab some popcorn because this story gets absolutely wild. I'm still processing everything that happened over the past few months, and honestly, writing it out might help me make sense of it all. So let me start from the beginning. I was with my fiancée Diana, a 30-year-old female, for 5 years total. We met on one of those dating apps, you know the type. Swiped right, started talking, and actually hit it off pretty well. She worked as a real estate agent in the city, showing million-dollar homes to rich clients all day. I'm a software engineer at a midsize tech company. Nothing fancy, but the pay is solid and the benefits are great, which becomes super important later in this story. Looking back now, there were red flags from early on that I completely ignored. Diana was always materialistic, but I chalked it up to her job. She was surrounded by luxury homes and wealthy clients every single day, so of course she wanted nice things. I tried to keep up when I could: vacations to fancy resorts, jewelry for birthdays and anniversaries, expensive dinners, the usual relationship stuff. But there were moments that should have made me think twice. Like when she'd compare me to her clients who were doctors or lawyers. "Jason just bought his 3rd vacation home, and he's only 35, she'd say casually over dinner. Or, "My client Derek drives a Tesla. Maybe you should look into getting one." Little digs that made me feel like I wasn't measuring up. The worst was when she complained that my car looked cheap in her driveway. I drive a 2019 Honda Accord. It's reliable, paid off, and gets great gas mileage. But apparently, it was embarrassing for her when her colleagues came over. She actually suggested I park it down the street when she was hosting her real estate team meetings at our place. I laughed it off, but it stung. Still, I loved her, or at least I thought I did. We had good times, too. She could be sweet when she wanted to be, especially in public or around other people. Her friends all thought we were the perfect couple. My friends. Well, they had their doubts, but they mostly kept quiet. About 6 months ago, everything changed. I started getting these weird chest pains that wouldn't go away. At first, I did what most guys do. I ignored them completely. Figured it was stress from work, or maybe I'd pulled something at the gym. But they kept getting worse. Sharp pains that would wake me up at night. Diana was actually the one who pushed me to see a doctor, and I'll give her credit for that. "You need to get that checked out," she kept saying. "What if it's serious?" At the time, I thought she was being caring and concerned. Now, I wonder if she had other motivations. So I went to the doctor, got a bunch of tests run, and boom. Turns out I have this genetic heart condition that I inherited from my dad's side of the family. Nothing immediately life-threatening, but serious enough that it needed surgical intervention. The cardiologist was pretty clear that putting it off could have bad consequences down the road. The surgery they recommended had like a 98% success rate. Pretty routine for what it was. They do dozens of these procedures every week. But it's still heart surgery. You know, anytime someone's cracking open your chest, there are risks involved. The doctors were very upfront about that. There was always that small chance of complications, infections, issues with anesthesia. All that scary stuff. I scheduled the surgery for late September. Gave myself enough time to get everything at work sorted out, finish up my current projects, and prepare. I'm the kind of person who likes to have all my ducks in a row, especially for something this major. Here's where the story gets interesting. About a month before the surgery, I sat down to update my life insurance information. I had a substantial policy through work, about $500,000, which the company provided as part of the benefits package. On top of that, I had a private life insurance policy for $250,000 that I'd taken out when I bought my condo 5 years ago. Diana knew all about these policies. We'd talked about them multiple times when we were planning our future together. She'd actually suggested I increase the coverage amounts for our future family, she'd said with this sweet smile. We need to make sure we're protected. At the time, I thought it was responsible and caring. Now, I realize she was calculating my worth in dollars. I made Diana the beneficiary on both policies. We were engaged, planning to get married next year. It seemed like the obvious choice. My parents were already set financially with their own retirement savings and investments. My sister Sarah was doing great with her own career as a lawyer. Diana and I were planning to buy a house together, maybe start having kids in a couple years. It made perfect sense to have her as my beneficiary. Or so I thought. God, I was so naive. The surgery was scheduled for September 28th. It's December now. And let me tell you, that surgery changed my entire life. But not because of the medical aspect. The surgery itself went perfectly fine. It's what happened around it that turned my world upside down. The night before surgery, Diana was acting strange. She was glued to her phone, barely talking to me. I was nervous as hell about the next day, and I wanted to talk, to connect. Maybe watch a movie together or just sit and hold hands. But she was in her own world, texting constantly. When I asked who she was talking to, she said it was work stuff. A big listing that might fall through, some client drama, the usual real estate chaos. I believed her, because what else was I going to think? I was too focused on my own anxiety about the surgery to read too much into it. That morning, we got to the hospital at 6 a.m. Surgery was scheduled for 8. Diana came with me, but she seemed completely distracted. She kept stepping out to take phone calls in the hallway, coming back looking stressed. I asked if everything was okay, and she just waved me off. Work stuff. Don't worry about it. I had to focus on getting prepped anyway. The nurses were incredible, especially this one nurse I'll call Katie. She was assigned to handle my pre-surgery prep, and she was so calm and reassuring. We actually joked around quite a bit while she was checking my vitals and getting me ready. Katie told me she'd just gotten engaged herself, showed me pictures of her ring. It was beautiful. Nothing too flashy, but clearly chosen with love. We talked about wedding planning, and she made me laugh by sharing horror stories about her fiancé's mother trying to take over everything. It really helped calm my nerves. Before they wheeled me away to the operating room, Diana kissed my forehead and said, "I love you. Call me when you wake up." Those were her last words to me as my fiancé, though I had no idea at the time. I remember thinking how sweet it was, how lucky I was to have her. The surgery itself went really well. Better than expected, actually. My surgeon said everything looked great. No complications during the procedure, but I had some issues coming out of anesthesia. Nothing dangerous, but my body didn't respond to the medication quite the way they expected. It meant I stayed in recovery much longer than planned. I was supposed to be awake and coherent by early afternoon, like 2 or 3 p.m. Instead, I didn't fully come around until almost 8 p.m. I was in and out of consciousness for hours, vaguely aware of nurses checking on me, but not really there, you know? When I finally became alert enough to actually think straight and remember where I was, the first thing I did was reach for my phone. The nurses had it in a bag with my other belongings. I wanted to let Diana know I was okay, that I'd made it through. That's when I saw the messages. Dozens of them from Diana. And my stomach dropped as I started reading through them. The first few were normal enough. Surgery should be starting now. Good luck, baby. Thinking of you. Can't wait to hear your voice. Standard supportive girlfriend stuff you'd expect. But then the tone started changing around 2 p.m. How long does this surgery usually take? You should be done by now. There was an edge to it that felt off. At 3 p.m. Why won't the nurses tell me anything? This is ridiculous. I have a right to know what's happening. By 3:30 p.m. I'm getting worried. No one will give me any information. How am I supposed to plan anything if no one tells me what's going on? Plan anything. That struck me as a weird thing to say. I figured maybe she meant planning when to call my parents or something. But then at 4 p.m. Seriously, Sam, this is taking way too long. The doctor said it would be a few hours. It's been way more than that. What if something went wrong? At 4:30 p.m. I need to know what's happening. This affects me too. That message made me pause. Affects her too. I was the one who just had heart surgery. But I was still groggy, still trying to process everything. Then at 5:17 p.m. I got the message that made my blood run cold. The one that made me question everything I thought I knew about the woman I was going to marry. If you die, how fast can I get the life insurance money? I have a closing next week, and I need to know if I should wait or find another way to get the down payment. I stared at my phone screen, reading those words over and over. Surely I was misunderstanding. Surely the anesthesia was still messing with my brain and I was reading it wrong. But no. There it was, clear as day. My fiancée, who was supposed to be worried about my health, about whether I was alive or dead, was calculating how quickly she could cash in my life insurance if I didn't make it. And it kept going. At 6:03 p.m. Seriously, Sam, I need an answer. Does the insurance company pay out right away, or is there an investigation first? How long does it usually take? I have bills to pay. At 6:45 p.m. Why aren't you answering me? If you can read these, text me back. If something happened, someone needs to tell me. I need to know what I'm dealing with here. At 7:30 p.m. Fine, don't answer. But this is really inconvenient timing. I needed to know today. I felt physically sick, and not from the surgery. My hands were shaking as I held the phone. This couldn't be real. This had to be some kind of terrible nightmare. The woman I loved, the woman I was planning to spend my life with, was treating my potential death like an inconvenient business transaction. Katie, the nurse who had prepped me for surgery, walked into my recovery room to check on me. She must have seen the look on my face, because she immediately came over. Everything okay? Are you in pain? Do you need more medication? I couldn't speak. I just handed her my phone, my hand still trembling. She looked at me, confused, then glanced down at the screen. I watched her face change as she read the messages. Her eyes went wide. Then her expression shifted to complete horror. "Oh my God," she whispered, scrolling through. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I can't believe, who would?" She stopped, shaking her head, looking up at me with genuine compassion and shock in her eyes. "I'm so sorry." I still couldn't find words. My brain was trying to process what I had just discovered while also recovering from major surgery. It was too much. Katie pulled up a chair and sat next to my bed. She didn't try to make excuses for Diana or tell me I was overreacting. She just sat with me, present and supportive. "Do you need me to call someone for you?" she asked gently. "A family member or friend?" I shook my head. I didn't want to tell anyone else yet. Didn't want to make it real by saying it out loud. Katie seemed to understand. She got me some water, adjusted my pillows, and just stayed with me. We didn't talk much, but her presence was comforting. Around 9 p.m. there was a commotion outside my room. I could hear Diana's voice, loud, insistent. "I need to see my fiancée. I've been waiting all day. Why won't anyone tell me anything?" Katie looked at me. "Do you want to see her?" Part of me wanted answers. Wanted to hear what possible explanation she could have for those messages. But mostly I just felt betrayed and exhausted. Still, I nodded. Might as well get this over with. Diana burst into the room, all smiles and concern. She was putting on quite a show. "Baby, thank God you're okay. I've been so worried. These nurses wouldn't tell me anything." She rushed to my bedside, reaching for my hand. I pulled it away. She looked confused. Hurt even. The audacity. "You were worried?" I asked, my voice still scratchy from the breathing tube they'd had down my throat during surgery. "Of course I was worried. They wouldn't tell me what was happening, and you were taking so long, and I thought—" She trailed off, probably realizing finishing that sentence wouldn't help her case. "You thought what?" I pressed. "You thought I died. Is that why you were asking about the life insurance payout?" Her face went completely white. The color just drained right out of her. I was just. What, Diana? Just checking to see how fast you could collect if I didn't make it? Sam, please. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was stressed and worried and You asked about the down payment, I cut her off. You asked how fast the insurance pays out because you have a closing next week. She was scrambling now, trying to find any explanation that would work. It was the stress talking. I love you. I was just having a panic attack or something and not thinking straight. A panic attack that involved calculating my death benefits? I asked. That's a new one. Katie and another nurse had moved closer, ready to intervene if needed. Diana noticed them and turned her anger toward them instead. This is private, she snapped. This is between me and my fiancé. Actually, Katie said calmly, this is a hospital room, and our priority is our patient's well-being. Diana whirled back to me. Sam, please. You have to understand, I love you. I was just confused and scared and not thinking straight. You can't hold that against me. But I could. I absolutely could. Because when I was unconscious on an operating table, when there was a chance I might not wake up, her first thought wasn't about losing me. It was about the money. Get out, I said quietly. What? Get out of my room. No. Sam, please, we can talk about this. There's nothing to talk about, I said, my voice stronger now despite the pain in my chest. Get out. She tried to argue, tried to plead, but Katie and the other nurse escorted her out firmly. Diana was yelling as they led her away, saying I was being unreasonable, that I was overreacting, that she loved me, and this wasn't fair. I could still hear her in the hallway. He's not thinking clearly. The anesthesia is making him paranoid. You have to let me talk to him. But they didn't. God bless those nurses. They protected me. Katie came back a few minutes later and checked my vitals. My heart rate was elevated. Blood pressure up. No surprise there. Try to rest, she said gently. You've been through a lot today, and your body needs to heal. She was right. I was exhausted, emotionally and physically. But sleep didn't come easy. I kept replaying those messages in my head. Kept trying to figure out when Diana had changed, or if she'd always been this way and I'd just been too blind to see it. Katie stayed with me, even though her shift had ended at 8 p.m. She sat in the chair by my bed, doing paperwork and just being present. Every time I started to spiral, thinking about Diana's betrayal, she was there to ground me. We talked through the night when I felt up to it. She told me about her life, her family, her hopes for the future. She'd been with her fiancé for 3 years, was planning a spring wedding. She showed me pictures of her dress selection, talked about the venue they'd chosen. It was nice, having normal conversation with someone who clearly. Katie reminded me that not everyone was like Diana, that genuine people still existed. The next morning, my best friend Jake came to pick me up. I had texted him everything the night before when I couldn't sleep. He was beyond furious. He wanted to drive straight to Diana's place and tell her exactly what he thought of her. But I had a better plan for me. First thing Monday morning, as soon as I was coherent enough to make business calls, I contacted both my insurance companies, the work policy and my private policy. I changed the beneficiaries on both. My work policy I split evenly between my parents and my sister Sarah. My private policy, I made Sarah the primary beneficiary. The insurance agent I spoke to at the private company seemed confused. Sir, are you sure about this? You just updated these beneficiaries last month. I'm very sure, I said firmly. My circumstances have changed. All right, we'll process this right away. The changes will be effective immediately. Music to my ears. Next, I called a lawyer Sarah had recommended. I explained the whole situation and showed him screenshots of all the messages Diana had sent. His eyes got wider and wider as he read through them. This is wow, he said, shaking his head. I've been practicing family law for 15 years, and I've never seen anything quite this blatant. This is financial abuse, potentially even conspiracy to commit fraud, depending on her intentions. He helped me draft a formal letter ending our engagement and making it crystal clear that Diana had no legal claim to any of my assets, insurance policies, or property. He also suggested I document everything, keep records of all communication, and consider filing a restraining order if she continued to harass me. Diana kept calling. Constantly, every few hours, another call. I didn't answer any of them. The next day, she showed up at my apartment. I watched through the peephole as she knocked and rang the doorbell for 20 minutes. I didn't open the door. The day after that, she sent her mother over. Her mom seemed genuinely confused. She said Diana told her we'd had a small argument and that I was being stubborn. I politely but firmly told her mother the truth. I showed her the messages and watched her face fall as she realized what her daughter had done. "Oh my God," Diana's mom whispered. I had no idea. "I'm so sorry, Sam. I don't know what to say." "There's nothing to say," I replied. "I just need everyone to respect my decision and leave me alone." She nodded, tears in her eyes, and left. I later heard she confronted Diana about it, and there was a massive family blowout. Diana's parents were horrified. Her siblings were disgusted. But that wasn't my problem anymore. 2 weeks after the surgery, I was recovering well. Following all my doctor's orders, taking it easy, letting my body heal. I'd been texting with Katie occasionally. She'd given me her number in case I had questions about my post-surgery care, and we developed a friendly rapport. We started texting more regularly, just casual conversation at first. Then she told me she had broken up with her fiancé. Turned out he'd been cheating on her with multiple women, even during her night shifts at the hospital. She found out when one of them messaged her directly with screenshots of their conversations. We bonded over our mutual relationship disasters. She understood what it was like to have someone you trusted completely betray you. There was no judgment, no pity, just genuine understanding. I invited her to coffee, just as friends. I made that clear. I wasn't ready for anything romantic, and I didn't want to put that pressure on either of us. We met at this little cafe near the hospital and talked for 3 hours straight. She was brilliant, funny, genuinely kind. She shared stories about her patients, about why she became a cardiac nurse after her father died of a heart attack when she was young. Coffee turned into dinner the next week. Then we went to a movie. By late November we were officially dating. It felt completely different from my relationship with Diana. With Katie, everything felt real, honest, grounded. She cared about me as a person, not as a financial opportunity or status symbol. Meanwhile, Diana was spiraling. She somehow found out I had changed the insurance beneficiaries. Not sure how, maybe she tried calling the companies herself. But in late November, she made a catastrophic mistake. She actually called my insurance company, pretending to be my fiancé. She asked detailed questions about the policies, how much they were worth, whether there were any clauses that would prevent payout in certain circumstances. The company immediately flagged it as suspicious activity. They called me right away to verify the inquiry. I told them everything. The whole story, the messages during my surgery, how I had ended the engagement, how she had been harassing me since. The insurance company took it very seriously. They flagged her in their system for suspicious interest in a policyholder's death. Apparently, that's a real thing they track. They also reported it to some kind of fraud investigation department. The agent explained that someone calling about life insurance benefits when they're not the beneficiary, and when the policyholder is very much alive, raises major red flags. But the fallout didn't stop there. Turns out making suspicious inquiries about someone's life insurance when you work in real estate is a serious ethical violation. Someone reported it to her professional licensing board, and her real estate license came under investigation. Diana's business started falling apart. Clients dropped her. Her brokerage put her on suspension pending the investigation. She tried to claim it was all a misunderstanding, that I was lying about her, but the evidence was overwhelming. Last week, Diana's mom called me again. She sounded exhausted and heartbroken. "Sam, I need you to know something," she said. "Diana has been telling us a different story. She said you'd had a small misunderstanding, that you were being unreasonable. We believed her. She paused, and I could hear her crying softly. We gave her money, she continued. $50,000 for a house down payment. She said you two were buying a house together, and we wanted to help. But now we know the truth. My stomach dropped. Mrs. Patterson, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. She cut me off. Diana conned us. We had no idea she was planning to use your. She couldn't even finish the sentence. Apparently, Diana's plan had been to buy a house with my life insurance money if I died. When that didn't work out, she convinced her parents to give her the down payment for a house she could no longer afford on her own. Her parents wanted their money back. Diana couldn't pay them. Her income had dried up with the investigation and her clients leaving. Last I heard from her brother, who reached out to apologize for his sister's behavior. Diana was living with her cousin and driving for Uber to make ends meet. Meanwhile, my life was actually getting better. Katie moved in with me in late November. We talked about it extensively first. Made sure we were both ready, that it wasn't too fast, but it felt right. We work well together, complement each other perfectly. My family loves her. My mom actually cried when she met Katie. She said she could tell this one was different, special. Sarah, my sister, is already planning to ask Katie to be in her wedding next year. Jake, who's been suspicious of everyone I've dated since college, thinks Katie's perfect for me. She's real, he said. No games, no hidden agendas, just a good person who cares about you. We're not engaged or anything. It's still relatively early in our relationship, and we're both being careful after what we've been through. But I can see a future with Katie. A real one. Built on trust and genuine love. My health is excellent. All my follow-up appointments show the surgery was completely successful. My cardiologist is thrilled with my recovery. I'm back to work. I actually got promoted recently to lead a new development team. When my boss found out what had happened with Diana, he was incredibly supportive. The company even added extra security features to my insurance policy to prevent any future fraud attempts. I saw Diana about 3 weeks ago. Katie and I were at the grocery store, just doing normal weekend shopping, laughing about something stupid. Diana was there with some guy I didn't recognize. She looked terrible. Exhausted, stressed, like she had aged years in just a few months. She saw us together, saw how happy we were, saw Katie holding my hand, saw me smiling genuinely for the first time in months. I watched Diana's face crumble. She started walking toward us, and I felt Katie tense beside me. But before Diana could get close, Katie stepped slightly in front of me. Not in an aggressive way, just protective. I don't think so, Katie said firmly. Diana stopped, tears already streaming down her face. Sam, please. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I love you. I miss you. Can we please just talk? Katie wasn't having it. Her voice stayed calm, but there was steel in it. You asked about his life insurance while he was in surgery. While he was unconscious and vulnerable. That's not love. That's not even close to love. That's greed. We walked past her. Diana called after us, but we didn't stop. We kept walking. That night she called again, leaving a sobbing voicemail, saying how she'd ruined everything, how sorry she was, how she wanted me back. I deleted it without even listening all the way through. The next day, Diana's parents reached out. They gave me a heads up. They'd filed a lawsuit against Diana to recover their money. They also warned me she'd been talking about trying to win me back. They thought I should know, in case she tried showing up at my place or at work. I appreciated the warning. Changed my apartment locks again just to be safe. Added Katie to all my emergency contacts. Made sure everyone who needed to know understood. Diana was not to have any information about me or access to me under any circumstances. The hospital where I'd had my surgery even asked if they could use my case as a training example for their staff, to teach them how to recognize financial abuse and protect vulnerable patients. Katie said it opened a lot of eyes. Apparently, this kind of thing is more common than people realize. Partners seeing their significant others as financial opportunities instead of human beings. I've been going to therapy to process everything. My therapist says I'm handling it remarkably well, all things considered. Having Katie in my life helps more than I can explain. She reminds me daily what a healthy relationship looks like, what it means to actually care about someone for who they are, not for what they can provide. Last week, Diana made one final attempt. She somehow slipped past security at my workplace by claiming to be my sister. But my real sister, Sarah, happened to be visiting me for lunch that day. She was in town for a conference. Sarah saw Diana in the lobby and completely lost it. I was upstairs in my office when my phone started blowing up with texts from Sarah. "Diana's here. I'm handling it. Stay where you are." From what I heard later, Sarah absolutely destroyed her. She told Diana exactly what she thought of someone who would calculate life insurance payouts while their partner was fighting for their life on an operating table. Security escorted Diana out, and the company issued a permanent ban. That was the last straw. Diana's lawyer contacted mine, and she finally agreed to leave me alone, completely. She signed legal documents waiving any claim to my assets, even returned the engagement ring without being asked. My lawyer said she had no choice. Between the text messages, the insurance inquiries, and the harassment, she had absolutely no legal ground to stand on. Jake threw a party for me last weekend. He called it the "You're Alive and Not Murdered for Insurance Money Party." Terrible name, I know, but it was actually fun. All my friends were there. Katie's friends, too. We're building a life together now, a real one based on mutual respect and actual love. I still think about those messages sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep. "If you die, how fast can I get the life insurance money?" It sends chills down my spine. This person I loved, who I thought loved me back, was literally calculating my worth in dollars while I was unconscious on an operating table. But then I look at Katie, sleeping peacefully beside me. Katie, who held my hand while I processed those devastating messages. Katie, who stayed past her shift just to make sure I was okay. Katie, who chose me for who I am, not for what I could provide financially. The heart condition. Completely managed now. I'm healthier than I've been in years. My relationship is solid and genuine. My career is thriving. Diana is permanently out of my life. And I learned an invaluable lesson. See people for who they really are, not who you want them to be. 2 weeks ago, Diana's real estate license was officially suspended. Her parents got their $50,000 back through small claims court, though it nearly bankrupted Diana in the process. Her brother told me she's working 3 jobs just to stay afloat, still crashing at her cousin's place because she can't afford her own. Meanwhile, Katie and I are about to celebrate our 6-month anniversary next week. We're planning a quiet dinner at home. Nothing fancy, just us. Good food, and the comfort of being with someone who genuinely cares. Life is good. Really, truly good. And I'm grateful every single day that I survived that surgery. Not just physically, but emotionally too. I survived Diana's betrayal, and I came out stronger on the other side. So yeah, Reddit, that's my story. I almost died during routine heart surgery, discovered my fiancée was more interested in my life insurance than in me, and ended up with someone who actually loves me. Life works in mysterious ways. To anyone reading this, if someone makes you feel like a financial opportunity rather than a person, run. Fast. And to the medical professionals out there, especially the nurses who go above and beyond, thank you. You saved my life in more ways than one. Thanks for all the support and awards. Yes, Katie and I are really happy. Yes, Diana is genuinely under investigation for insurance fraud. And no, I don't feel even slightly bad about any of it. Diana's professional license has been permanently revoked. She violated multiple ethical codes, and the board showed her no mercy. Katie and I are moving forward with our lives. Happy, healthy, and grateful for second chances. To anyone who's been through something similar, you deserve better. Don't settle for someone who sees dollar signs when they look at you. Find someone who sees you. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube, this video deserves to blow up.